Now I'll show you how to prepare the perfect chocolate caramel. Here I have the glucose syrup, bigger part, and a little bit of sugar. These two ingredients will be caramelized in the saucepan. Then I have the sea salt, the whipping cream, smaller parts of milk, and smaller parts of glucose syrup. These ingredients will be heated to boiling point, and then I will add them to the caramel when it's ready. And I have the larger portion of milk, the chocolate, dark chocolate 80%, and the butter. Those ingredients will be added last to make the texture of the caramel pipable, make it creamy and smooth. I will start the preparation with putting the cream, the smaller portion of milk, smaller portion of glucose syrup and sea salt in the saucepan, and we'll bring all those ingredients to boil. I'll add the glucose syrup first. Then the milk, then the whipping cream, and the sea salt. Once this mixture boils, I remove it from heat. And we'll leave this at room temperature just on the table, somewhere on the side. Meanwhile, I'll start the preparation of the caramel. I'll put the saucepan on the induction stove, and then I will add the bigger portion of glucose syrup and sugar. I will start warming these ingredients together until they melt, and then I will bring them to about 180–185 degrees Celsius and to an amber color. I cook the caramel on medium heat and I do not stir, even despite the presence of the glucose syrup, which lends a creamy and pipable texture to the caramel and prevents the crystallization of sugar. I still recommend not stirring with the spatula, but just swirling the saucepan like this until the sugar and glucose syrup melt, and only then you can start mixing. As you can see, we have quite a lot of glucose syrup in this recipe. This is because we need a pipable texture, which is rather viscous, plus glucose syrup has less sweetness compared to sucrose, compared to sugar. This is why this caramel will not be overly sweet. It will have a nice chocolate flavor and will not overpower with the sweetness. So now the sugar has melted, the glucose syrup has melted as well. I can start mixing. I'm looking for a uniform amber color. So now, as you can see, the color is rather light. It can be easily checked on a white spatula. I'm looking for something a bit darker. The darker you cook the caramel, the more flavor it will have, but be careful not to overcook the caramel, otherwise it will get bitter, and this is not what we're looking for. Okay, so now after a while, my caramel is ready. It has a beautiful amber color. It is not dark, it is perfectly cooked. You can see the color here on the spatula. So now it is the perfect time to add the mixture of the milk, cream, and glucose syrup. It is important to have this mixture warm, about 60 degrees Celsius. It is better if it is even hotter. So now I'll start adding this mixture to the caramel gradually, and we'll be mixing with the spatula constantly. After addition of the liquids with the glucose syrup, the caramel turns this. It has still a very beautiful amber color. It is completely homogeneous, smooth, without any lumps. And now I need to cook it to 105 degrees Celsius. Such temperature will allow for a pipable and smooth texture, which is not too hard and neither too runny. And like this, it will not leak out and will look beautiful as an insert as well as a decoration. So now, using a probe thermometer, I'll check the temperature. As said, it has to be 105 degrees Celsius. The portion is rather small, so it is quite easy to overcook the caramel. So if it goes above 105, don't worry, you can just add a little bit of milk to dilute the caramel and then recook it to 105 again. Like this, you'll have enough liquids and perfect balance of liquid and dry ingredients in the caramel, and its texture will be perfect. Okay, perfect. It's 105 degrees Celsius now. I remove it from heat. It thickened a bit, as you can see. Its color turned a bit darker. It's perfect. Now I'll leave it to cool down at room temperature to about 70 degrees Celsius, and then we'll add the rest of the ingredients: the butter, the chocolate, and the cold milk. The reason I'm waiting to about 70 degrees Celsius is because I don't want to cook the chocolate. If I add it now, the caramel is still hot and it will cook the solids in the chocolate, which might lead to an unpleasant texture, grainy texture of the caramel, and cooked flavor. This is not what we're looking for. I'm looking for a rather clean chocolate flavor. It will still be masked by cream and milk and sugar, but it will not be cooked, and this is what I'm looking for. Okay, so now the caramel has cooled to 70 degrees Celsius. I will start adding the butter and the chocolate first. So first the butter goes in, and at the same time I add the chocolate. Then I'll mix everything until the butter and the chocolate melt. Once the chocolate and butter melt completely, I'll add the cold milk and we'll process everything with a hand blender in a jug. This is necessary to ensure the proper emulsion, the good combination of liquids and fat, and perfect smooth and creamy texture. So hand blender is absolutely necessary. So as said, I'll add the milk. We'll mix it briefly and then we'll transfer everything into a jug. It is simply easier to blend it in a jug compared to blending in the saucepan. After about 1 minute of blending, the caramel turns this texture. Its color is lighter, it is much more liquid than before. It is perfect now. At this point it is ready, but I cannot use it because it is rather liquid. So I'll cover it with the plastic wrap, touching the surface of the caramel to prevent condensation, and we'll put it in the fridge for about 6 hours to stabilize.